So let's take a look at another question from the 2023 HSC Standard 2 Maths paper. This is question 30. So we're told a receipt from a supermarket shows a total of 124.87. The GST shown on the receipt is $3.86. GST at a rate of 10% is charged only on some items. What was the value of the items which did not have GST charged? Alright, so the total in this case is 124.87, and this consists of two separate parts. It consists of the no GST items, some items are exempt from GST, and the GST items. Now GST is 10% on top of the cost of the goods purchased. So that means we have the price of the goods purchased multiplied by 1.1, and then we have, so let's call this P2, this is the price of the GST goods, and then we have the price of the non-GST goods, which we'll call P1, and the total is equal to the sum of these. So this gives us T is P1 plus P2, or 1.1 times P2. Now we have some information about the question. We've been told the GST shown on the receipt is 3.86. Now this means that 10%, 0.1 times P2 is actually equal to $3.86, because this is the GST on P2. This means that P2 is 3.86 divided by 0.1, which is 38.60. So we now know P2. The value for P2 is 38.60. We know the total. The total is 124.87. So we can rearrange this and find the value of P1. So we're going to minus 1.1 P2 from both sides. This tells us that P1 is equal to the total minus 1.1 times P2. We're going to plug the total in. We're going to plug P2 in. This tells us that P1 is equal to 124.87 minus 1.1 times 38.60. Now if I put this in my calculator, this gives me 124.87 minus 1.1 times 38.60. My calculator is telling me that this is 82.41. 82.41. So this is the value of the items which do not have GST charged. So now let's take a look at the marking for this question. This is a 3-mark question. So you get 1 mark for calculating the amount on which the GST is charged or equivalent merit. So you get 1 mark for either setting up the formula or finding one of the values, something like that. You get a 2nd mark for calculating the difference between the total and the amount on which the GST is charged. So this will be something like finding the 38.60 and then setting up an equation that links the two of them. And then you get the final mark for providing a correct solution, which is the 82.41. And there's various different ways to do this. I've done this in a very formulaic way, where I've structured it as a formula and then solved that formula as I've gone through. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could use some other way of solving it, which would be equally as correct, right? There's no right or wrong way of the correct ways to do this. This is one way, and using this method, this is how we would get the 3 marks.